of Fame. If she gets her own wing, I'd be totally fine with that because Charlotte is just that good in the ring. She definitely takes after her father, and she does a astronomical job just being the best women's heel in a long time, next to Alexa Bliss at this point. So.
Oh yeah, but Alexa Bliss is on some next level shit right now.
She really is. All right, so we move on to the next matchup, the House of Horrors matchup between Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. And for those of you that don't know, this is not for the WWE title. Even if it was, it wouldn't be in Randy's possession right now after what happened on SmackDown Live, where Jinder Mahal just said, you know what, I'm just going to beat you up. I'm just going to take this with me, have fun with the House of Horrors matchup. That was just an awesome moment. I'm not going to lie. At first, I was kind of skeptical about Jinder Mahal being number one contender, but now it's just like, I kind of want to see this matchup now. I want to see Orton versus Jinder Mahal at Backlash now. And still, people are just giving it a hard time because, they're only doing it because they got the whole thing with India. I don't care. The way that Jinder's playing off right now, he's doing a good job. Will he be champion? Hell no. Not right now. I mean, it's going to probably take some time, but at least they're giving, new faces a new lease on life. So even even though the same week he won the number one contendership, there's that thing that happened with Balor, which a lot of people would like to forget.
Nothing happened.
Fair enough.
But I mean, as for Jinder, I gotta admit, I wasn't fully sold on it. You see, I already mentioned this name once in this show. Jim Ross actually changed my mind on this. He had an entire thing on his website talking about it, basically saying, it's a calculated risk if they were to actually push him with the belt. That's kind of what wrestling is built on, and it's like, he's never been pushed before. We don't know if he's ready. No, of course you don't know if he's ready. He's never been pushed this far before. He's actually completely behind Jinder picking up the belt, and to the people who've been saying, they've got this deal with India, and that's why, I'm like, yeah, and the last time they had a deal like that was, I think, may have been one of the reasons why they went so hard with the fucking great Khali. This is someone who can actually at least move in the ring this time, and to be honest, when they started getting viewership in the Canadian market, that was one of the reasons that they put the belt on Brett back in the early 90s. You cater to the market you go to. That's basic marketing. I really don't see. I'm confused now. Honestly, I'd say go for it. Fuck it. You know what? Maybe Jinder, maybe he can really, pull something off. And I know the moment we don't want to talk about, but, when he forearmed Finn Balor, maybe with the right kind of, training and preparation, he could be taught how to work a stronger, stiffer style. I wonder if there's anyone in WWE that is known for working strong style and for training people.
Oh my gosh.
He's on the same show. That'd be really convenient.
I am actually picturing those two in a matchup now, and I'm thinking to myself, good Lord, that'd be amazing. Honest, with the push that they could give Jinder, and just, having the King of Strong Style face off against him.
And he's training him behind the scenes. I mean,
that would be amazing.
Than with Nakamura and Dolph right now.
Well, we'll put the prediction off for just a minute, because I actually do want to talk about that build-up between Ziggler and Nakamura. This past week, I thought that was actually a pretty good build-up, because here's the thing, it accomplished a few things. One being the fact that, it made Dolph Ziggler again look like a really good heel, which, my God, where has this guy been hiding for so long? B, it again shows a little bit of that, comedic WWE comedy that, WWE would want in Nakamura by calling Dolph Ziggler a jackass. And then, of course, it made me want to see Nakamura take Dolph Ziggler's head off, which, makes me think, you know what? They're doing their job right, because a heel is one of those guys you want to see lose, you want to boo against, and probably want to see get destroyed. So, but then again, it's also Shinsuke Nakamura, so he's the only guy who could get that job done.
No, don't get me wrong. I completely feel you on all that. I guess my only problem is just, I get it that they want to take it slow with Nakamura. I just feel like they're going a bit too slow. I don't know. I feel like there's almost a bit too much build up with this one. And I don't know, Dolph is just...
Dolph?
I guess I'm just kind of over Dolph and have been for a while. I mean, I know when I watch a Dolph Ziggler match, I'm going to get a good match. And yeah, if they ever, really committed to a push with him or something, I'd be fine with it and I'd watch it. But, I mean, after all this time, I just kind of stopped caring about Dolph Ziggler.
Kind of numbed the Ziggler.
Talking about, Nakamura, if he ever fought Jinder Mahal, and I'm just like, that sounds way more interesting right now.
All right, well, before we numb your brain too much, let's get into, of course, the prediction for Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt, the House of Horrors matchup, which I've said, let Matt Hardy produce this matchup because I think he would do an astronomical, phenomenal job. That's going to be my new catchphrase now, astronomically phenomenal, because reasons.
That's a good one.
But your prediction, Bray Wyatt or Randy Orton?
I actually forgot about the bit with Jinder taking the belt. I know it's not for the title, and that really would... And if you'd asked me before the thing with Jinder Mahal taking the belt, I probably would have said, well, Randy's a champion. There's no way in fuck that, Bray's going to, win. He just shifted shows. Even with that gone, the entirety of his original run on mainstream WWE was on Raw. And there's so much going on Raw right now, both good and not so good, that I just think they haven't had time to really address him. So, yeah, I love you, Bray. I really do, man. Wish they'd do you better, but I think Randy Orton's going to win. Yeah, I think this is going to be one of those situations where they were trying to make a signature match for you, and just like how The Undertaker's signature match is Hell in a Cell, which he almost always doesn't win, I have a feeling that's going to be the case. Bray.
I think that Bray's going to go over just because they need to throw Bray Wyatt at least one bone here, and I think having not necessarily this signature matchup, but just because that, he's the guy who originated, he's the guy who created it. And I think also just how they've molded this matchup to be. It's supposed to take place in the House of Horrors first, and then it builds up, and then you have a matchup in the ring, which makes me think, okay, this might actually be a pretty good matchup. And I said this before, and I'll say it again, with this matchup, just go all out with it. Who cares? I mean, if it looks cheesy, let it look cheesy. It might be a good kind of cheesy. I mean, that's what happened with the Final Deletion. Some parts look cheesy of it, but it's some of the most memorable shit that they've actually done, whether it be in Impact Wrestling or in wrestling, period.
You make a good point there. I mean, hell, as much as we love him and respect him, The Undertaker's got to be one of the... He's called the last true gimmick for a reason. He's a hallmark for crying out loud. Other gimmicks that were getting, being put out by WWF at the time were guys that were like Duke the Dumpster Droz and the Goon, a guy who's also a hockey player in addition to being a wrestler, and you had Papa Shango and all this other shit, and making the Ultimate Warrior puke. I mean, he is cheesy as hell when you think about it. He's a zombie wizard mortician with a demonic brother. Dumb as hell, but you execute it right, put enough effort and heart into it, you get one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time. So, I mean, I got to stick with my gut. I'm still saying Randy's going to win, but I guess maybe I won't be too surprised if Bray actually snakes this one.
Fair enough, because he's the Viper, and
We're clever.
Giant sperm. Anyway.
What makes it even better is that dude said in an interview that, I hated it. Your guys are on the internet are right. It did look like a giant sperm. And I'm just after I finished laughing at that, I was like, wait a minute. Did Randy Orton just agree with the internet and compliment them?
There was a first time for everything there, Max. All right. So we move on to the United States Championship matchup. Kevin Owens defending against Chris Jericho. If Jericho wins the title, he will be transferred to SmackDown. I think we're both in agreement on this. Kevin Owens. I think that especially with Chris Jericho leaving for the Fozzy Tour, I just do not see any reason to take the belts off of Kevin Owens even for one night. I think it would just make no sense, really.
Oh, yeah. I got to agree with you. I'm going Kevin Owens on this one. I really hate to say this. I really do. Because Chris Jericho is one of the greats. He's one of the greats. He's good for a reason. And his recent run on WWE has been one of his best, period. I mean, I'm saying this as a guy who remembers watching him versus Dean Malenko on Nitro. I remember the Man of 1,004 Holds. I remember him being a conspiracy nut in WCW. Lionheart. I remember, will you please shut the hell up and all that. But I think what's been happening recently is the same thing that happens a lot of times that a heel gets popular in WWE and a lot of other promotions, and they decide to turn them face. Because they're now a face, they have to stop doing a lot of the stuff that made us love them as a heel, which doesn't leave much. And while Jericho's a great character actor, I really don't want to see this version of him kind of get driven into the dirt. So I think not only is he going to lose, I think that might actually be the best thing. Plus, if he is bowing out for an extended leave of absence thanks to a Fozzy Tour, you could just have them just go completely all out, wreck each other, and Kevin Owens just like over and over power bombs him and shit, and he put him on the shelf for a little while, have some story with it.
Right. I want to talk about like two things. One, I would love to see the list of Jericho still continue on through the Fozzy Tour, where just if some fan gets thrown out, they're just disrespectful, it's like security's going to take you away. But you also know what happens? I'm going to tell you this right now. You know what happens when you get taken out by security? Huh? Click. You just made the list! I think that would just be, again, astronomically phenomenal is not even the right word for it, because the fact that he would incorporate some of his WWE stuff into the Fozzy Tour, that would be amazing.
Oh my God. I'd be so down for that. I mean... Don't get me wrong, I've listened to Fozzy. They're what I would call good, but not some I'm going to, go out of my way to listen to. But I'd go to a fucking Fozzy show if I heard that kind of shit was happening. Oh, people, that cause a ruckus are getting, he's busting out the list. Oh, cool, where can I buy a ticket?
And one thing I think I actually forgot to mention on Raw with AJ was that history was actually made this past Monday. Dean Ambrose became the first person to actually be taken off the list, but then get put back on the list.
I do have to say this. That whole bit with Jericho and Ambrose, the whole opening bit with them basically playing wife swap with fucking talk shows was just stupid beyond reason. I hated that. But what I loved is when WWE acknowledges their own history. They talk about history a lot, but they'll just completely throw continuity out the fucking window when it suits them. When Ambrose apologized and gave him that handmade jacket, I'm like, oh my God, they remembered this. And it's, these characters aren't just doing it because WWE told them to do that for this segment. They're doing it because they're fleshed out people with histories on this show. And then, of course, him getting put back on the list was, really fucking funny. But it was great. It was like this one really cool moment, and then the bits with them backstage. I mean, I really dug that. That's one of the reasons why I am okay with Jericho losing and then, heading out for a little while.